Welcome to the XP Team USA podcast. We're digging the plugs and pinpointing the topics you want to hear. And now, here's your hosts, Dave Kimball and Lynn Quellen.
This show is brought to you by XP Metal Detectors. XP Metal Detectors is a top innovative metal detector company with machines like the Deus and now coming the ORX, also the MI4 and the MI6 pinpointers. With the lightweight and wireless capabilities combined with the power of the Deus, the XP machines makes a perfect metal detector. XP Metal Detectors. Find a dealer near you. Hello and welcome to the XP Team USA podcast. I'm your host, Dave Kimball, coming to you from Central Oklahoma, and I am joined today with my co-host, Mr. Lynn Qualen, coming to you from Central Iowa.
Howdy, listeners. Lynn here. Can't wait for the show tonight. Looks like a good one. We have two guests tonight. Who are they, Dave?
Today's guests, we have Mr. Grant Hansen with XP Team USA. He also does our Express News. We also have Mr. Neil McElroy with the dog tags. He's a dog tag collector and has a lot of good info on that. We'll also be having Grant Hansen's Express News today. And don't forget to check out our dealer of the month for the month of November, Mr. John DeVille with Miss Lou Metal Detectors. Miss Lou Metal Detectors is on our group page. You could go on there and click on it. He's got a Facebook page. You could get a hold of him through that. He will hook you up with great machines, great deals, and a very good dealer to deal with.
Before we get into the show, Dave, I think we had a few callers over the week, and maybe we should listen to them and maybe give them some advice.
Yeah, let's check that out. For those who have not seen our posts, we have a new phone number. So our new phone number is 405-294-3602. Give us a call anytime, leave a message, and we will play it on the podcast. Leave a message, a comment, or a question, and we will get you on here. Let's check out who called already. Let's listen to this.
Hey guys, just had to call in and let you know I listened to the first episode and you did a wonderful job. Really enjoyed hearing John DeVille and also enjoyed the news clip as well. The news was very interesting. Keep up the good work, guys.
That right there was our very own Josh Kimball. Thanks for the comment, Josh. Thanks for the support. We really appreciate it.
That was a nice comment, Josh. I try to listen to Beyond Sight and Sound twice a week. I might not be there live when it happens, but I always go back in time and listen to the older podcasts and eventually get to the one that happened on a Wednesday or Sunday.
Yeah, me too. I always listen to the archives, download them, listen to them at work or driving. Very interesting podcast. Let's just do our next one. Next one, we got a question.
Yes, my name is William Capps, a.k.a. Willie Diggett, Wilmington, North Carolina. I have a question about if Deus will ever make up a 4x6 small elliptical coil for getting in even tighter spaces for iron relic hunting and in really brushy area. Just trying to find out if they're going to go with a smaller coil, even the 9 inches. It's fairly small, but even smaller.
Willie Diggett. Wow, that's a great name. Yeah. William, I don't see anything on the drawing board yet, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And I'm kind of on the same page as you. I hunt a lot of residential areas where I could actually use, I call them sniper coils, usually a 4-inch or a 5-inch concentric, very small coil to get in between iron and junk to find those older coins and jewelry and such. So I would definitely be a big time user if they came out with a very small coil like that.
That would be interesting, and the guys up there may be listening, so maybe they might hear our call for one.
Well, I suppose it's about that time. I can't wait to hear firsthand information on some trips to England. I've never done it, but I'm looking forward to it. And especially dog tags. I know Neil specializes in all kinds of things like tokens.
I love dog tags. I love to find them things. When you start really looking for them, they get harder to find. When you're not looking for them, you find them all the time. Yeah. Let's get to a commercial and we'll get to our very own Grant Hansen. XP Metal Detectors now introduces the new X35 search coils. Designed around a brand new electronic advances, these new high-performance and versatile coils will allow you to choose from a wide range of frequencies, ranging from 3.7 kHz to 27.7 kHz. In total, there are 35 available frequencies based around 5 main frequencies that are quickly accessible. A new boost mode is now an option on frequencies 3.7 kHz to 4.4 kHz and can significantly increase detection depth on highly conductive targets such as large masses and large silver coins. The new X35 search coils will now be available as option as the same price as the previous coils, and also now will be standard with the brand new Deus. So get your X35 today. Our first guest today is an XP Team USA field rep from New Jersey. He does a great job on our show doing his Express News, and while keeping busy with that and his family, he also has a good YouTube channel. Please welcome Mr. Grant Hansen. How you doing, Grant?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
I'm doing good. Glad to have you on again there, Grant. Good to hear from you. Hey, tell us about New Jersey. Were you homegrown and raised there, or were you born in another state out east?
No, I was born in New Jersey, grew up in the same town I live in, and I've been here ever since. I love it. I live, within, miles from New York City, miles from mountains, miles from farm fields, and miles from the beach. So it's kind of got the best of everything.
Yeah, it's got a lot of history with wouldn't the Revolutionary War go through there too?
Yeah, we had a lot of Revolutionary War activity. There was a battle about only 2 or 3 miles from my house. We've got the Hudson River, which is walking distance. So I kind of just sit out there and imagine what must have gone on during the war, and ships and cannons. And there's probably so much history under that river.
So the area, I know it's heavily populated per square miles in New Jersey. It's got to be, but so it's not just all city to the listeners on the show. It does have crops and so on and so forth, and probably some rolling hills. You got wine out there too? Is there vineyards and stuff?
There are, yeah. There are some wineries in New Jersey as well. Yeah, I think we get a bad rap sometimes because most people come in through Newark, and we've got a lot of buildings, and the airport there is what most people see. But we've got beautiful farmlands, beautiful beaches, beautiful mountains, wineries, like you said. There's so much to do. It really is a beautiful state. Sometimes you have to travel to find open land, to detect, but you'd be surprised what you can find in tiny yards around your neighborhood.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, would you rather be in the city sometimes, or do you mix it up and do some research, in the field out in rural sections, or where have you had your best luck metal detecting with the XP Deus?
My best luck have been home site with about 1 acre or 2 acres of land. So they're usually pretty junky. They've got many layers of history and many layers of garbage to weed through. I do get out farm fields with my friend James. It's a different style to me. I enjoy it, but it's not as much digging. There's a lot of silence when I'm on the fields, whereas on a home site, I could be digging every 12 inches and retrieving targets. So it's kind of a different experience, but I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to do both.
Yeah, I'm in the same situation. The city can be pretty complex with targets like you said, stacked on top of each other for hundreds of years. So, but I'm in the same situation as you. So I know what it's like to do many clean outs sometimes before you can get to the good objects.
Exactly. But it's worth it, right? If every time you dug a hole and it was something fantastic, it wouldn't be as exciting when you found that fantastic thing.
Yeah, the only thing is with me, I don't need the exercise. I'm getting too old. But Grant, tell us about your professional job. I know you work for the Red Cross. Do you travel a lot, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I work for the American Red Cross. I do digital engagement for volunteers. So making sure that volunteers coming into the organization can get placed into the right opportunities, and the volunteers who are in those opportunities are happy and excelling and engaged with us. I travel maybe once a month, once every 2 months. It really depends. It's not a regular schedule, but it's not that often. runs. So I travel when I have to, but it's not a crazy schedule, that's for sure.
Right. Well, it sounds interesting for sure. I didn't know if you had to go to like the hurricanes and stuff like that, the catastrophes that have been happening recently with the fires and such.
Yeah, my colleagues do, and we try to, make sure that everyone doesn't have to go to every single one because, as you know what's going on right now, we've had hurricanes since Florence and Michael in Florida and turns right into wildfires in California. So sometimes, getting rest is important, but we can do a lot remotely to support the efforts, to support the people on the ground doing heroes work, really, is what they are.
I seen your post on Facebook with your Cub Scouts. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. So my nephew, who's 7 years old, is a Cub Scout, and his mom, my sister-in-law, asked if I could come in and speak to them because they're studying coins right now, American coins, and they're trying to get their badge. So I went in with kind of like a show and tell mentality where I could show them all the coins that I have throughout U.S.'s history, and that includes colonial coins, Spanish silver, colonial British copper, and I explained to them that, this was our money before the United States had money. And because they were 7-year-olds, I think the show and tell aspect helped because I definitely wanted to throw in those fun facts so that they were getting educated about things so that they could earn that badge. Certain things like how our silver currency is based on the Spanish real system. So you got the half real, which would be the half dime, the 1 real, the 1 dime, all the way up to the 8 real and the silver dollar. And it was modeled after that. Even our early, large cents and state coppers were roughly the same size as the King George I, second, third half pennies and things like that. So kind of threw in some of that knowledge and, why coins have ridges and why they have rims so that you can stack them. And then I let them play around with the dais and the MI6 to kind of feel what it looks like, feel what it's like to actually get a target. So I think they enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, that's very cool. I'm sure you planted a lot of seeds there. They were ready to go out and do some metal detecting.
Well, yeah, and the funny thing is there was about 12 kids and also 12 parents in the room. So it was a large audience, and I had to use my words carefully because I think if the parents weren't in the room, I would have been like, so go home tomorrow and discover what's in your yards and dig it up and find out. But I was like, the parents might not like me if I say that.
Some of the parents might have been. Some of the parents might have been ready to go buy them a machine too.
They were, yeah. A couple of them were talking to me after it. They were showing an interest. So, and I think they'll want to have me back and talk more about either history or artifacts, depending on what they're studying. So, it went well enough that I think I'll get an invite back.
Did they earn their merit badges then? Is this what this was all about?
Yep, and they certainly earned those badges. So I was happy to be able to provide them that knowledge so that they can actually earn another badge in their collection. They also earned a 50-cent coin. I showed up with a bunch of them and just handed them out just so that they would have something to take away with them. And they were really excited to get such a large coin.
Well, that's very cool. So this is your nephew's Cub Scout group?
Yeah, my nephew Jake, yeah. And he was very proud to have me there, so that made me feel really good.
All right. Do you have any kids yourself?
Yeah, I have one 6-year-old daughter, and we adopted her when she was 2 days old. And now that she's 6, I've been trying to plant stuff in the backyard and get her kind of into the fever. So someday she can join me.
Yeah, you get her in a Girl Scout.
Yeah, we're actually exploring that. Trying to get a Girl Scout troop started around here and have her participate.
Grant, hey, let's, I've never had the chance. I don't know if I even want to go now, but I do know some locals that go to Europe every year, and they plan it out with actually people that they met there maybe at a couple different events, and they plan it every year this time of year, and they go for a week. Some of them stay 4 days, whatever. But I want to talk about your England trips. When did you first get interested in it, and how did you go with a group of people you knew, or did you sign up for it through a club, or how did you even research it?
Yeah, so it started around, I want to say 2012, 2013. I had to go over to England on a business trip, and I said, well, I'm going to be in England. I wonder if I'm going to be able to detect while I'm over there, even though I'm working full days. So I kind of did some Google research about clubs in the area, and there was one, and I reached out to them, and they got back to me and introduced me to a guy named Gary, who was gracious enough to work around my work schedule, and he took me out to some of his permissions lanes at like 5 in the morning. And he let me use his detector and just walked alongside me because he didn't have a spare. So it was just a thrill to have 2 or 3 hours on British soil while I was over there. And then, from there, I befriended him, and then he told me about a group dig going on the following year that he was organizing. So I signed up for that and flew over for a few days and camped out in the freezing cold weather that I was not prepared for. And then I've been going ever since. So having a connection over there is really helpful because there's rallies all the time or weekenders, they call them different things. So having somebody out there who can guide you and say, hey, this one might be worth the trip versus, oh, that land over there may not have so much history. So once you form those relationships, it makes it a little easier to plan.
Do you think at these metal detecting rallies down there that you scream out the name Gary and half the crowd would answer you?
I do. I think there's a lot of Garys over there.
There's a lot of Garys at metal detecting.
Daises. They all got the dais, yep.
What type of cost do you think let's just say you said you used to go on the weekend trips when you first started going, then it ended up you'd extend it from weekends to maybe a week. What is the cost of those guys? I'm sure you don't know the cost of renting that field for a week, through the homeowner, but are the meals included? Is the stay included, with these permissions that the people in charge of these hunts, hand out? I mean, what's included in it?
Yeah. So usually it's just the land primarily, which is, for the weekend or 3 days, the going price is usually 50 pounds, which is, I think, $65 US. Some will charge you like $10 a night if you're going to camp. Others will say it's camping included. It really depends on who's organizing it. As far as their relationship with the farm owners, I've heard sometimes where, they'll pay the farmer, $500 to let people come out and host the rally. Sometimes they're working with a charity, so maybe they don't have to pay the upfront cost and all the proceeds go to charities. They're very big on that with the rallies. Very often it's supporting some sort of really good charity. So it's not often like just a way for the organizers to make money for themselves. As far as food, if you're camping, they usually have food stands there, anywhere from elaborate food trucks to maybe just one guy in a barbecue, and you're paying a few pounds for a burger or an egg sandwich. So I've done both experiences where I've camped and packed food and ordered food, and I've done experiences where I've stayed at a bed and breakfast and was much more comfortable and just kind of walked over to the rally in the morning and walked back to the bed and breakfast at night.
Yeah, I guess they do it several different ways. The guys that I talked to mostly, I don't know if it was just a long strip motel or something, but the foods were included. I'm not saying if they're bad or good, but the food was and the meals were all included. So I'm sure everybody does everything different over there.
Yeah. And I will tell you the food is different too. They don't make burgers the way we make burgers. So sometimes you have to suffer through it.
Well, tell us about the fines. Is there, I would be puzzled on everything I would dig up there. I wouldn't know something from something because it could be, 1,000 years old, So how do they have like an IDer guy when you get back that would ID and help you with a fine or something? If it was a man's buckle or a shoe buckle compared to a tack buckle, or anyone there to help?
Yeah. I mean, most of the locals are knowledgeable about certain fines, like hammered coins. When I find a hammered coin, I couldn't tell you who the king is, what the age is. So I'll grab somebody or send an image to my friend if he's not close to me and say, hey, I just found this. What is it? And they're usually pretty quick to ID it. Same thing with the buckles and the age. And, always a pleasure when you hear, oh, that's medieval or that's Roman. But a lot of the larger digs will also have a FLO, which is defined liaison officer, who's an expert on artifacts and coins, and you can go and show it to that person too, and they can help you identify it as well.
What were some of the good finds that you found there that you ended up getting back that you can, off the top of your head, that you got in the room or with your house?
Yeah, so the first trip, I guess organized dig I went to, I found a cut halfpenny, which was King John I, which dates to 1210-ish. So I couldn't believe how old that was. And, it was only about a half-inch deep, too, in pasture, right next to a tree. It was bent in half, and I actually thought it was a pull tab, because that's what the small hammered coins ring up as. And until I kind of cleaned it off and saw the design, I was blown away. And another trip, I found Henry VII groat. A groat is a larger hammered coin. I'm guessing here, I think it's about like the size of 4 pennies. So that was a nice, substantial one from the mid 1400s. But what I'm waiting to get back now is, when I was out there last time, I found about a 2,000-year-old Roman brooch and some medieval buckles. So I'm really excited for that.
Is most of the land where you've been out there, is it rolling pasture, or is it some of it a lot of crops? And I guess the next question would be, do they use a lot of, insecticides and herbicides like we do here in the States that destroy copper?
They do, yeah. Most of the digs I've been on have been farm fields, and it's been a combination of just beautifully manicured rolled fields. Sometimes they have stubble that you have to deal with. Other times, they're deep plowed, so you're walking over mountains. Not all of them, but there might be a couple fields within the 12 fields that they have, just because, the farmers are dependent on the weather and the season, so they may not have been able to roll that out as quickly as they'd like to. But yeah, they do use the same pesticides we use here, but I think what they do differently is they do deep plows more often than we do. So they're really getting a couple feet in under and churning that mud up and bringing those old finds to the surface. Wow. Whereas at least the fields I see in New Jersey, yeah, they're just, they extract the fruit or vegetables, and then they kind of just flatten it out or leave the stubble there. But they don't really get too deep with the plows.
Wow. Right. Yeah. Here the discs don't go down as deep as I think people think, but tell us just kind of a scenario of finding and the return of something you found, just a general idea of the time period on getting the finds back to the U.S.
It could be usually around 8-9 months, to be honest with you. It could be a long time. But it's kind of like Christmas all over again, because you have the excitement of finding it, clean it off a little bit, you take a picture, and then you've got that waiting time. And then, when you find out everything's good and it's getting shipped back to you, and then it comes and you get to relive it all over again. So there is a process. It takes a while, but it's worth it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, Grant, if I was 25 years younger, I might hit you up for one of those trips. I would enjoy it, but I'm kind of good just here in Iowa, But let's take a short intermission with a few words from our sponsors. And when we come back after the break, we're going to talk to Grant about 2 exciting coins he found out in New Jersey. So we'll be right back.
XP has announced its new ORX machine, a high-end machine with a mid-range price. The new ORX has 4 factory programs plus 2 user programs with 99 levels of sensitivity, available with a high-frequency coil and compatible with the new X35 coils, coming soon to the USA. All right, welcome back. We're here with Grant Hansen.
Hey, Grant, you said you got in touch with the Deus. I didn't ask you specifics about it, but I'm sure it's probably about the audio tones. Can you tell us your secret? Or I kind of went through the same thing a year ago, and it's a confidence builder. Is that what I'm thinking? Is what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, it's a confidence builder. It's trusting the machine, but also taking the time to get familiar with it. Look, it's a great machine if you want to just go with the stock programs, especially since they've gotten updates in there with Gary's Hot things. There's really good programs in there. But for me, I'm investing in a machine like this. I really wanted to understand it inside and out. So I was determined to come up with my own custom program that would suit the kind of conditions that I hunt and that I could, tweak if necessary. So it was a couple month process of just really understanding the conversation, right? Because that's what it is. The Deus is talking to you in signals and tones, and you have to understand what it's telling telling you. So in order to understand that something's a bad signal, or a bad target, you have to dig a lot of them, to understand, oh, maybe that wasn't 100% pure. Maybe there's a little bit of a twinge in there. So you just have to get through it and understand so that you can understand that language and have that conversation. So once I got there and once it clicked, it was great, because now I feel so empowered and confident with it.
Same experience here. I mean, you have to dig. I've dug thousands and I've put thousands of hours on the dais. And, sometimes those iffy targets, like you and me both hunt a lot of residential, and some of those iffy squeaks in there could be iron mixed in with coins or jewelry or both. And you got to investigate it. But I'm only a 100 plug man a day, and I get worn out. So I got to kind of conserve my energy. But yeah, I always try to tell the new dais users, give it time, really learn it, experiment with it, read about it, dig stuff, and you kind of know about it, and you're going to learn a lot. Okay, let's go into something that you told me about that you found in New Jersey. I've never even seen one. I've seen pictures of them on the internet, but I've never found one, and I probably never will here. Tell me about this Real that you found.
Yeah, I was so excited. I mean, we all have our bucket list, and the Real was on the top for me. So I was detecting on the front lawn of an old church in my hometown. It was built in 1793. They've had so much activity over the years. They used to hold events on the front lawn. People parked their horses and carriages there. And, I just wasn't really finding anything old. I'd been there with my other detector prior to getting the dais, and I've searched it up and down. And, I found some decent stuff, but nothing too crazy. And then I brought my dais down there, and I was over an area which I've hit many, many times. And I just got this soft but solid enough repeatable signal, and I dug down. I was expecting it to be more can slaw or garbage, from the modern era, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw two pillars on a tiny silver coin staring at me. I was in shock. Because it was totally unexpected. I mean, expected, yes, for a property like that, because I've been there so many times. I wasn't expecting it, and I didn't even touch it. I just picked up the phone to call my friend James, and I said, because I wanted him to experience with me, and I said, all right, I'm going to pick it up now, and it was great. I was thrilled beyond belief, and it was in really good condition, 1775 half Real.
Wow, that is amazing, and I'm sure there's more around there. I mean, we're not old enough in Iowa to probably ever see anything like that, but that's an amazing story.
Living in New Jersey, I know there's got to be a lot of cool colonial relics and coins and stuff. What other colonial stuff have you found out there?
Yeah, when I talk about bucket list, there was another coin on top of my bucket list, which is the New Jersey copper coin, the state coin. And, I found my fair share of King George II's, King George III's, and many, many unidentifiable coppers because of that, the ground conditions. But, I was out one day with my friends, and I had found a couple colonial era coppers already, and then I dug another one, and it just gave out the most beautiful banging signal. Even though it was a good 6 to 8 inches deep, it sounded like it was only an inch deep. And I started cleaning the dirt off, and I kind of said, wait a minute, is that a shield? Do I see a shield on the back of that coin? Because that's what I'm looking for. For New Jersey copper, you've got a shield on one side and the horse's head, which is the seal of New Jersey, on the other side. And I start scraping it off, and I kind of wasn't believing it because, your eyes can play tricks on you and matrix images into what you want them to be. So I called my friends over, and they're like, yeah, that's a shield. You got it. So I was so excited. I haven't found another one since, but I'll still be looking for more.
That is awesome. That is very cool. Hey, do you hear that?
What was that?
Rapid fire.
Oh, Grant, it's time for Len's rapid fire. Are you ready for some personal, sometimes rude questions that I ask you?
I don't know if I'm ready, but I'll do my best.
Well, okay. You can pass if you want to, but this just tells us a little more of your personality and your style of your life. So let's start. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Wintertime TV for Grant. Is it NBA, NFL, golf, or hockey?
Oh, is there a none of the above choice on any of those?
You could pass.
I will say if I had to watch any, it'd be football.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Wendy's or Arby's?
Ooh, good one. Wendy's.
Okay, a grocery run. Are you going to go to Target or Walmart?
Walmart.
Okay, tell us your style in clothes, Grant. And I know you're a younger guy. Tight jeans or carpenter style jeans?
Carpenter style.
Okay, when it's cold out, do you wear a stocking cap or just a hoodie?
Stocking cap.
Favorite time of the year, spring or fall?
Fall.
Okay, we're getting a little romantic here. Valentine's for your wife. You going to get her flowers, chocolate, or are you going to take her to dinner?
Take her to dinner.
Very good. Okay, Christmas dinner is going to be coming up. Are you going to have turkey again, or are you going to have ham?
We have a ham and a lasagna.
Perfect. Okay, now we're going to get a little technical. You might have to pass. Maybe not. We'll find out. Okay, on your dais shaft, there's a lower stem length numbers down by the cam lock. Do you know what number of the length that you're on?
I do not.
Toughy, isn't it? It's so tough.
It is.
So,
but
you know what?
I never paid attention.
Right now, Grant, guys are pulling that bottom shaft out going, what the hell is Lynn talking about?
I got one last question for you, Grant. If you were able to hunt one spot here in the United States, any spot for one day, you get 1 day free pass, where would it be?
Front lawn of the White House.
That's a good one. Well, Grant, I want to thank you very much for being on the show today. We really enjoy listening to your Express news and look forward to hearing many more every other week on our show. We'll be hearing this week's after the end of the show. So thank you for being on, and we enjoy hearing from you, and hopefully we have you back on again sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. I appreciate it, and I liked all your Facebook posts when it rained so much for you in England this year, but keep posting it. I love seeing your finds and your stories, and hopefully we'll have you on again in another podcast coming up in the future, buddy.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All righty. Bye-bye.
All right. See you.
Bye-bye.
Check us out online at xpdeus-usa.com. This segment is brought to you by Omega Mill Pouches, the official digging pouch of XP Team USA. If you're looking for a rugged, hunt-tested, washable pouch, look no further than Omega Mill. Get on eBay and search Omega Mill Pouches. That's OMEGAMILL.
Our next guest today is Mr. Neil McElroy. Neil McElroy is an avid dog license tag collector, also a member of the ISALC. How you doing, Neil?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Neil Lynn here in Iowa. I've talked to you several times on tokens and maybe a few dog tags, but I'm glad to have you as a guest tonight. I guess I'd like to start out about the history of them. What were states, townships, counties, cities, also maybe some parishes, were they required to issue these to homeowners, do you think, back in the day? And what year do you think they first started here in the U.S. anyway?
Yeah, in the U.S., the taxation of dogs started fairly early. I would say that probably early 1800s, they would tax dog owners. Started out as a fund to be able to compensate farmers for losing livestock to meandering dogs. People wouldn't corral their dogs correctly, and they would get out and unfortunately kill livestock. So it's this money that was collected. It was done by the cities first, and they would have a fund for that. And people would go and if they owned a dog, they would have to go pay that. A lot of people, it was kind of an honor system thing. They didn't, they'd only have to pay it if they got caught one of those things. They would pay it and get a little certificate. And so there's a lot of paper certificates that are really old. It was just a piece of paper that said dog license on it, and they described the dog, how old it was a male or female or that. But then the actual tag to prove this, to make it a little easier for people if they found a dog that was out meandering, to have a tag actually affixed to its collar that was issued by the city, was started by Charleston, South Carolina was the first. 1850 was the first one, and it was written in the same law that the slave tags or the slave owners would have to tag their servants that they owned. So it's kind of in the same laws, and actually was the tags were made by the same metalsmith that made those tags. They look very similar to the servant tags, and those are the holy grail of dog tag collectors. If you can get an 1850 Charleston dog tag, they are extremely rare and very collectible. Yeah.
You think back then they used brass or some other type of metal? Because I found a few like maybe 1920s teen years here in Iowa, but it seemed like they held up a lot better than what are the ones nowadays? Just all aluminum pretty much?
Yeah, now mostly, you're right, mostly aluminum now, but there is some pre-1900 aluminum tags, not very many, but there is a few, but mostly were brass, a few copper. Ohio had some early copper ones. Yeah, the counties in Iowa, Ohio started, I think the first year was like 1918, I believe, in Ohio, and they were pure copper, but brass was definitely the more prevalent metal that they used, strong and cheap. Yeah.
All right. The ISALC is a club. Can you tell us a little about that and what that stands for?
Yes, ISALC is the International Society of Animal License Collectors. It is an international club. Not a lot of people outside the U.S. are into it, but we do have a few members. There is, some very early European tags. Actually, I've seen, I think in Holland had some dog tags that are dated 1790s, actually, pre-1800. Pretty crazy old. They've been doing a long time. Wow. But, the club is mostly done through our newsletter. It's a quarterly newsletter called Paw Prints, and it's just outlines, dog tags, and there is a few collectors that are more that go outside of dog tags. There actually is cat license tags. That's not as common, but there is that. There is I've seen goat tags, and there is cattle tags and stuff like that. Not a lot of collectors for that kind of stuff, but more dog tags. I'd say, more than 95% of the people who collect the animal licenses is dog tags. And there's different types of dog tags. You've got the tax ones that I collect, or the license of the tax tag. There's also rabies vaccine tags, which is a tag just to prove that they were immunized for the rabies vaccine. And then there's like ID tags, just says the dog's name or the owner's name, the dog owner's name on it. Not as many people collect that, and it's mostly people are more interested in the government issued tax tag or license tag.
Nice. I'm looking at a Paw Prints right now, and on the front cover it's showing a Virginia Shepherd, female Shepherd tag, and then you got the male or unisex Shepherd tag.
Yeah, some of the agencies, the way they would split up if it was a male or female dog, the sexed or not sexed, unsexed, some that were like never had a baby. I'm not sure why they would document that. That was on the tags, the Virginia ones. And the Shepherd, I'm not sure what the Shepherd one, I don't know if that was for a working dog. I'm not sure why someone would say Shepherd on it. I'm not sure what that term would mean to the agency, issuing the tag, what that was. But there's a lot of unknowns with the dog tags, why they did the way they did it, actually. A lot of it didn't get documented. A lot of dog registrations have been purged. Even today's records, they don't keep the records for very long, because dogs just don't live very long, 20 years at the most. So they don't sort of look it up. Not very many agencies keep those records. They purge them after 25 years or more.
When you first started, Neil, I guess you talked to me before about getting into coins. Your family got you into coins when you were younger, and you still collect them or have a big collection. What do you think got you hooked on dog tags, and how do you display them, and what's your better half think about all your dog tags?
Dog tags is one more step away from coin collecting. I think a lot of guys get into, coin collecting is very common, obviously, and very popular. I got into that years ago. Grandpa gave me a bunch of coins and thought it was really neat, buffalo nickels and Indian head cents, stuff like that. And then you start collecting them and buying them, and then you get to a certain point where you've got everything you can afford. Anything that you don't have is so expensive or hard to find. So then you get interested in other things, foreign coins. And then I got into tokens, and in my early 20s I got into metal detecting. I thought that'd be fun to go find my own coins, but then I soon realized that almost everything else I find is more interesting. Coins is sure awesome to find. Love to find old coins, but then to find tokens and metals and dog tags and stuff like that, toys and jewelry, it's very interesting to do the research on it. And I just found that dog tags, they're government issues. They're not necessarily money, but they are considered exonum, outside of numismatic. And the shapes and sizes, and each year, most agencies each year would make a different shape of the dog tag, so they could see, the dog would be wearing the tag, and they could see it, from several feet away. They could tell what tag they were wearing to make sure they had the right one on. Kind of like your license plate tag, how it's a certain color, the sticker you put on it for the year. You don't really have to be right up on it to see what year it is. You can kind of see from far away to see what it is. So that's kind of a neat thing to do. So you got lots of options in dog tags, and for areas to collect from, either being from region or certain shapes. The planchet shapes are amazing, different dogs' heads to fire hydrants. It's kind of funny, some of the shapes of the tags. Very interesting. Butterflies and bells, a bow tie. Holy cow! I've seen just about everything. Think of. I've seen out of California. There's ones that are sailboat shaped. I think out of Santa Cruz, I think it was. I've seen like a 1920s with the shape of a sailboat. Just whoever wanted to order them, and wherever they ordered them from, they got to pick what they wanted, and it's pretty amazing, really. My wife, she's not too interested in my hobbies, but she's supportive of it, understanding of it, maybe not as much, but she likes that I have something to do anyway to keep me out of trouble.
Most wives feel the same.
Yeah, she's probably more interested that you spend your time probably at a tot lot park or a soccer field trying to find maybe a used ring for her.
Oh yeah, she'll get excited. I'll try to show her an old coin I find, or a token or something like that. She's not so interested in that, but when I show her a nice ring that I found, she'll try it out on her fingers, and if it fits good, then I never see it again. It goes into her jewelry box.
So for those who are interested in dog tags or have found dog tags themselves and don't know much about it, how can they find out more about dog tags, and where is there a book available?
Yes, actually our number one authority of dog tags is Dr. William Bone. He's written a book on dog tags. He is a vet. He was born and raised in Kentucky, currently lives in Kentucky, but he went to school at Auburn, did the vet in Auburn, Alabama, and then he did his practice. I think he did some practice up in New York, and then he went down to Florida and then retired there. He got into where he was at. He was responsible for issuing the dog license tags. It wasn't the city like most places are done. You had to do it through your vet. You'd go to the vet, you'd get the rabies vaccine, and then they would give you the license tag for that area. It would be county or whatever it was. So he would get the old ones from his patients, would bring them in. We're talking in the 60s and 70s, and he would save them. Thought they were interested in. And then he started looking into getting old ones, and hooked up with a few guys, and they're the ones that made the ISALC. Him and Harry Baker out of Arizona, and some of the first fellas. I think Johnny Satterley out of Oklahoma. I think he was one of the first people to start the club of dog tag collecting. Those guys finally got hooked up and put out ads. I'm not sure where they put out the ads at to find that back in the day. Much different now that we got the internet and stuff. You can hook up a lot faster and quicker with people than back then.
And hey Neil, what would you charge Dave that just found that rare Oklahoma tag a couple weeks back? Would you be tempted to give him an estimate on the value of that one?
Dog tags is very tricky to price dog tags, so there's no price list for them. There's so many factors of what would make it worth this or that or more. It depends. There's so many factors, and even doing this for 20 plus years that I've been doing it, I'm still amazed at why some don't sell for very much and why some sell for so much. It's hard to say. On that Norman, Oklahoma tag, that's an Oklahoma Territory tag, I believe. If I remember
1901
right.
OT.
That's a wow. It's hard to say a price on there. I mean, like someone like Johnny would probably pay more than anybody else because he's an Oklahoma guy. I mean,
he has contacted me a couple of times.
$100, $200. I really am not sure. It'd be interesting to get his input on it. I've never talked to him about it to see what he would say, but it's hard to say. The dog head shape is very popular amongst collectors, just to get that shape. So that's a plus, definitely. Being in a territory tag definitely brings up the price. But then also with any other collectible, the condition is a concern. So unfortunately, we find stuff, and it's hard to find a pristine anything in the ground, to have something that doesn't have problems. So being a little corroded would bring it down a little bit. The interest would be a little bit, but that is what is nice of the dog tags. From a piece that's been dug to a piece that's in condition, there's not a lot of price variance in that. If someone wants that piece, they're willing to pay the money to get it.
What I have noticed with these dog tags is pretty interesting. I know with coins, you clean a coin and everybody's no, and you ruin the value when you clean coins. But with dog tags, you can tumble them and clean them up and restore them, right?
I do, yeah, and I've never had anyone, really balk at it very much. And I'll say that because I do buy and sell. Because a lot of times I have to buy whole collections to get a few tags for myself. I end up having to buy, hundreds, if not thousands, of tags altogether, and some of them I don't want for myself. So I will, sell them. So I'll clean them and put it on, eBay, and I will put on there that this was cleaned or whatever, just to be honest about it. But I've never had anyone say they don't want a clean tag. I've never had someone mad that it was cleaned. Yeah, it's definitely different than coin guys. Or cleaning coin definitely kills their numismatic value. But I found the opposite with dog tags. That I've actually bought dog tags off of eBay that were dug in bad shape. I get it, and because I think I'm willing to pay whatever for it, and I'll clean it and restore it and put it up on eBay, and then I'll make some money on it and sell it for twice as much as I paid for it. So I think it's fine, but you may get somebody else that would say otherwise. I don't know.
Wow, that's very interesting, Neil. I heard, when I first met you on Facebook, I metal detect too a lot, but you said that you collect, let me get this right, the dates, the year of the dog tag. If someone has one that matches the tag numbers, you collect that type of a dog tag? Yes.
Dog tag collecting is a very small niche. There's not a lot of collectors, and then even myself being the weird person I am, I take it to a different level and try to find stuff that's very odd. So to me, that's to find where a tag where the date matches the serial number or the registration number. So like say a 1955 dog tag and the serial number is 1955. To me, that's awesome. And luckily, usually when I find one, if I can find one, I don't really have to pay a premium for it. It's not any rarer than a different one. It just is neat to me. I just think it's kind of a cool thing. So it's just fun to display them. I really only have a couple dozen. I've been doing this, like I said, over 20 years, buying and selling dog tags, and I've only found a few. It's one of those things that's easier said than done. It's very hard to find. But my favorite, the thing I focus on the most, is serial number 1 dog tags, the very first dog tag issued for that agency, whether it be city or county or state or whatever township. The very first tag that's my favorite, and I've got the thousands of them that I've got.
Do you really?
Yeah, modern ones, old ones. My oldest one is an 1876, was found by a metal detectorist in Russell County, Missouri. Said he found it out in the middle of nowhere, and it was a Maverick tag, one where it doesn't reference what city it's from. It just says CTP on it, which stands for City Tax Paid, and it has a serial number 1, and it's 1876. But yeah, he said he found it out in the middle of nowhere. So what city that was from, it's hard to say. I don't know where Russell County, Missouri is. What's the, it's probably a city close to there, but why it got there and how it did, it's hard to say. But yeah, that's my oldest one I have. Not very many early ones like that, but obviously the earlier the better, older ones. But I like modern ones too. I've got a few guys across America that send me some. One of the prevalent guys on Facebook, Glendon. Why can't I think of his name? He's out of Good Thunder, Minnesota. He's very popular in the token community, but he has his own dogs, and he goes and gets his dog tags. He's the first one, like on the 2nd of January, he goes down there, and he always gets number 1 and 2 for his dogs. And that the next year he sends me the old tag and gets a new one. So I get those from him. He just gives them to me, just sends them to me for free. He's awesome. He's nice.
Wow. Before we leave, you want to tell the listeners, if they're want to get more interested in the dog tags, and since a lot of us are on Facebook and that's the way to go anymore nowadays, what kind of Facebook information's out there? Where could we all look? I'm interested myself.
Yes, definitely. The ISALC, the club does more stuff through the mailing, their newsletter, but there is a Facebook page. You have to be invited to it, so I'm more than willing to add anyone to it if they find me on Facebook, if they're friends of mine. Neil McElroy. It's pretty easy to find me if you look up my name. I don't think there's too many Neil McElroys around, but you'll see my profile picture is a dog tag. So if you find me, that's me. Friend me, and then tell me you're interested in dog tags, and I can hook you up with the websites. There is a metal detecting website that's all for posting your dog tags. Then there also is the ISALC site where people post their dog tags and ask questions about about or whatever, get a lot of information that way. So that's probably the easiest way to do it. But to become a member of the ISALC is only $10 a year. It's very cheap. So like I said, you can get that quarterly newsletter that has lots of information in it. And there is an annual meeting. They meet somewhere every year. Unfortunately, I've only been able to go to the one that's on the West Coast, and it's only every few years. They have it in Phoenix, Arizona, but a lot of times it's over East Coast or meeting, they call it, the convention meeting. It's basically kind of a show where you show your dog tags, you buy and sell, and talk about all things dog tags.
Well, it sounds great, Neil. Hey, I appreciate you coming on tonight. Maybe we'll have you on later in another broadcast. But what do you think, David? I learned a lot.
Oh, yeah. It was very interesting. Very good talking to you.
Well, good. I appreciate it.
Hopefully we will be able to get you back on again some other time and talk some more and find out some more information.
I would love to. Yes. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Neil.
All right. Take care. We'll talk to you later.
If you are in the market for a new pinpointer, then check out XP's MI6 pinpointer. Waterproof up to 6 meters, 2 audio modes, picture pulse, 3 levels of sensitivity, rechargeable lithium battery, 7 programs to choose from, 7th program being connectivity to your machine, allowing 50 levels of sensitivity and recovery mode for your MI6. For those on a budget, check out the MI4 pinpointer with all the same options except for connectivity. So find an MI6 or an MI4 pinpointer through a dealer near you. This is Express News with Grant Hansen.
Hey everyone, this is Grant Hansen. I'm back with another edition of Express News. I hope you find the following news stories inspiring and interesting. Amazing discoveries have been happening all over the world. A couple have either been in my own backyard or places I've been recently. As for my backyard, in my home state of New Jersey, a Revolutionary-era newspaper was found at a Goodwill, and it can be worth up to $18,000. A frame sheet of paper from the Pennsylvania Journal and Weekly Advertiser, dated December 28, 1774, had been sitting on a shelf for months. Amongst the type is an ad featuring the iconic segmented snake with the phrase, "Unite or Die." This is one of only 4 copies of this paper from that day. For those of you who aren't familiar with America's first political cartoon, the hissing segmented snake was an iconic symbol during the Revolutionary War. According to the article from the Washington Post, quote, "The engraving, a hissing snake divided into parts that, labeled with the initials of various colonies and the exhortation, 'Unite or Die' beneath it, was originally designed by Benjamin Franklin. He ran it in his own Pennsylvania Gazette in 1754 as a way of ginning up patriotic fervor during the French and Indian War," end quote. Goodwill hasn't decided how they want to sell the paper, but certainly want it to go to a good place. Now let's go across the pond to England, specifically Devon, England. You know, I was just there a few weeks ago for the UK History Finders Weekender rally. It's known for its hammered coins from the medieval era and up, but it's not where you'd want to go to find Roman artifacts. Well, that may change after a recent discovery. A Roman settlement has just been discovered during a construction project, and it includes 25 timber buildings. This is a pretty important discovery since Roman influence hasn't been thought to extend this far south in England. According to an article in the dailymail.co.uk, quote, "The excavation gives a rare insight into the process of conquest and how the military associated with the civilian community that made Britain part of the Roman Empire," end quote. While experts believed Rome's influence didn't reach farther south than Exeter, metal detectorists found a few Roman coins in a paddock in 2016. This led to a larger excavation and lots more Roman coins. So thanks to archaeologists and our federal metal detectorists, our world's history will often be rewritten as new discoveries come to light. Okay, now back to the U.S. and a not too far long of a ride away, archaeologists have just discovered the earliest evidence of English settlers in Connecticut. The settlement dates back all the way to the 1630s, which is about the same time as the founding of Connecticut's first colony. While the Dutch were in this area earlier, they didn't plan to stick around for the long haul. The English, however, had an intent to stay, and this settlement was one of the first houses built in the Connecticut River Valley. I'm sure I could help them find some more stuff. My desk is always packed, charged, and ready to go. I might have to take a road trip. You can learn more about this discovery at wshu.org. And that's a wrap for this edition of Express News. If you come across a story or article that you think is newsworthy, please email me at xpteamusagrant@gmail.com so I can consider it for a future episode. Thanks, and happy hunting.
Needing the highest quality digging tool for metal detecting, then check out Predator Tools. Their digging tools are made from chromoly 4130 and heat treated and tempered to ensure the highest quality product. Predator Tools are made in the USA and are also used in the United States military. All of their tools carry a 5-year warranty and are proven to be the toughest out there. So check out Predator Tools at predatortools.com. All right, that was Grant Hansen's Express News. Very good insight. Looking forward to hearing a lot more of Grant Hansen's Express News. He's a good guy. And Neil today, he was very interesting too. I've learned a lot from that.
Yeah, two very good guests today. Great stories, great information. And I'm going to start looking at some of those websites that Neil suggested. And I'm sure glad Grant makes the time to write stories for us and do our Express News every podcast we have. So he's a big help.
Oh, yeah. We're working right now also on a contest that we might be doing with Grant. So keep tuned for that and look forward to hearing about that. I think that's all we got today. We are going to get out of here. And don't forget to check out Miss Lou Metal Detectors with John DeVille. Go on our Facebook page or our website even, our xpdeus-usa.com. Click it down below under the dealers and you can find Miss Lou Metal Detectors under there. You can also find it on the front page of our website. You can find them on our Facebook group page or on our Facebook news page. Check out Miss Lou Metal Detectors. Very good dealer. And the next podcast we have for you, I believe we're going to have Don Westbrook, and we'll also be talking to David Finley.
So that should be another great show. All right, guys. Len from Iowa up here signing off, and we'll see you again on our next podcast. Thank you.
We'll see you.
Get that permission, put the coil to the soil, and we'll see you next time right here on the XP Team USA podcast.